Forgot it, sir.
Okay, so
I
okay,
used
okay. So you know that how to add icons to the website, correct? Yeah. So there are
sir.
basically external libraries. So to HTML we cannot add icons natively. Natively they have a support, but not that good support actually. Yeah. So the support is there in the form of what is called as HTML entities. Have you heard? Yeah. What it is called? HTML entities, which is like a native support for icons without even going for an external libraries. We can actually use, but nowadays this is not popular. Getting what I'm saying? This is not popular.
Yes, sir.
Uh, you see, for example, I want R symbol, which is a trademark symbol. Yeah. So in HTML we write ampersand reg, reg. Okay. In the text we just simply put this. Then we get that corresponding icon. Yeah. For example, let me show you how does it look like. Okay. So I have a paragraph. Nothing I'm going to write. I'm just going to put reg. So you get a register R symbol, right? You're seeing that R symbol now. Same way, I can display any of this symbol. For example, even for rupees also we will have an HTML entity. Yeah. Here there are two things. Okay. One is like this, a number like this, or we can use even the names like, okay, for example, I want a white space. Yeah. Assume like I want white space before this. Okay. So I can put another entity called NBSP, non-breaking via, you know, white space is what we call, yeah, non-breaking space. So NBSP. So it adds one space character. Let's say we need some more. You might have seen some code, okay, where people are adding spaces using this. Okay, R will shift a bit. So this is what I'm saying is a native solution. What is there within HTML itself? I don't have to depend on any libraries. Yeah, and it is possible. There are again so many HTML entities are also there. Your emoji icons, especially whatever we use in WhatsApp. So something similar to that. But now the sophisticated solution or most uh, used solution is to use some font libraries, sorry, icon libraries. Okay, HTML icon libraries. Let me show you. There are so many libraries are there. Just to give you an overview. So what are all those libraries? Let me ask W3 schools. It has a list. Okay, it also has a some popular list which is there. We will see what is that list. Okay, it's called icons. Huh? Yeah, exactly. There is a tutorial in the W3 school itself, one chapter called icon itself. Yeah, so today we are talking about that, right? How do we add this kind of cloud or car and light, thumbs up, and all that? Yeah. So if you see uh, in the reference itself, they have given Fontasm as one of the option, where I'm seeing W3 schools under icons. So if there they have a tutorial for icons also. That's what they're saying. Okay. Now Fontasm is one of the icon library. Yeah. What basically this is an external library. You'll have to include this library. So I'll show you. We will talk a bit more on this. Just to give you the list of names. Yeah, it had an earlier version called so and so. We have another library called Bootstrap, and this library, yeah, is called Glyphicons. They name that as Glyphicons. Especially if you are using working with Bootstrap, then this is a library people use. This list is quite big, but not sufficient enough. Okay, it has. So again, each of this library are having a standard number of icon set. Okay, meaning so again popular because if they have good number of icons for all the different use cases if they have. Now we can see even Google also has an icons library, not used, especially I think in the form of material icons. Okay, I think now they have introduced a lot of material icons which you can use. For example, action icon, action related set of icons. just a second. Yeah. Uh, so this is an action related. They have got a lot of icons. You see the icon set so big, correct? Yeah. So just to summarize, so we have a lot of icons from an external libraries, not from HTML, in the form of Phantasm, Bootstrap, as well as Google icons. Yeah. Also, there are a lot, many more what they have not listed. For example, I have seen uh, if you just search, I think you will get a lot of icons. Okay, free SVG icons. I've used something like Feather library. Yeah, something like Feather. But yeah, flat icon is also one. Uh, yeah, you see, uh, we have let's say icon libraries. Just to hmm. So usual solution. That's why we have to go for Copilot. Not to waste my time. Okay, so let's say Copilot. Last Copilot. Okay, uh, commonly used font or not font. Okay, icon libraries. An idea? Let's see what is the list it will give you. But these three are popular. Why I'm saying all these things? I could have just explained what is Fontasm, just to just to give you an awareness that okay, it is not that everyone will be using Fontasm only, but it is quite popular. 80% of the project I can say they use Fontasm. Recently they had some issues with the license. It was not given for free. Then people will be not interested to pay just for the icons itself. Yeah, they'll say okay, create your own icons, use our own icons. But these are CDN hosted, which is nothing but yeah, they're all part of a CDN. CDN is nothing but content delivery network. Maybe another day we will discuss what exactly CDN, why it is so important. So all these icon libraries are CDN hosted, which means they are actually cached. Yeah, easy to download. They are not part of your actual source code, and very easy to they give you a lot of support for different icons. Yeah, as we can see, there are so many libraries are there. Yeah, so I've used feather icons also in one of the project. Material icons again, what we saw. Font as a most popular icon. It is used in popular front. I mean, all the front end libraries. We use this. Fine. Now, so with this introduction of what are all the different icon libraries, so let's understand what it takes for using one. So which is in the form of fontasm. If you come to know how to use one, then it is the same across all the libraries. It's just that library name is different and the icon names and the syntax is bit different. Okay, so yeah, that's how it is. Okay, for example, now in order to get started, yeah, they're saying you'll have to include this. Yeah, so you see, fontasm. In short, it is also called FA. It has 7,000 odd icons, and they have got also pre-edition, which is they got almost like 1,500 icons. Yeah, they got pro, which is like paid, free, which is got 1,500. How do we get started? We'll have to, okay, they're saying you got to include this in the script tag. You have to include their JavaScript source code. And after that, you have to add icons with this syntax. I class is equal to FAS, FA class. Since I'm using CodePen, let me show you how to add these kind of stuffs in the CodePen. So I click on the settings icon. Here I get, okay, here I get an option like if I scroll down, okay, add an external style sheet or pens. So you see, here I can search for font. You see, I search for now font. I got fontasm. So I'm including this library. Now this is their CSS file. Yeah, there they showed how to include for a JS library. But now I'm trying to show you the pro version, which you can also use. Now that is included. You don't see any code for that. But since in CodePen it is now added. Now how do I test it is added? Yes, we use I tag actually. generally for adding icons. Yeah. So and then we write a built-in class which is already set. For example, you see Phantasm, they say FAS, S for solid, FA clock means that's the name of the icon. So I want to use a solid icon and the name of the icon is clock, and generally the way it is named is FA-clock because that's how they've exposed that part of the library. So FAS stands for solid icon I want. Let's say FA clock, I'll try to use the same thing. So if this icon is available, then I'll be able to get the clock. Now, just like we have different font style, solid, yeah. Uh, what else? We have got regular, I think, FAR, yeah, money, right? You see the same icon, it's a regular one. This is a solid icon, which is like almost filled. Now, likewise, you can access or you can whatever icons you want, all you need is just you have to add this tag, and for this corresponding icon what you are looking, you have to find the class name. I've included the CSS. I'm now trying to, okay, now there is a dedicated website. I don't have to search here. So there is a dedicated website for Phantasm. The library name is Phantasm. So here if you search for icons, it has a good set. So let's say you search for icons, whatever you want you can search. For example, in our case we want arrow down, correct? There will be an icon for it. See, there are so many icons. It says all are pro. I'm only interested in free, then I can filter on free. So the different style, solid, regular, there is a light and there is a thin version also. You see, again you can filter on these things also. So it shows, see, a lot of icons are available. Can you use any of the, so arrow down itself, it has maybe 400 to 500 icons which are all arrows only. See, not 400 to 500, 1600 just arrow down. Yeah. So likewise you search the icon. Let's say you get one of the icon, select, let's say this is what you are trying to use. So now it will give you a syntax how to use. So if you're using in HTML, this is what you do, is what it is saying, recommending. What it is saying, okay, use this HTML piece. If you're regular, if you arrow down to line, that's the name of the icon. Arrow down to line. Yeah. So similarly, class light version is there, thin version is there, solid version is there. Now based on your requirement, you copy this line or copy that snippet of code, put it in your code wherever you want. You want next to the label, you want next to the input, you want next to your menu item. For example, save settings. They all are icons only. Even this is also an icon or maybe a logo. This is for sure pencil is an icon. So, so for these kind of things, so we use this library called Phantasm. Is it clear on how to include icons via the font library? These are all actually font libraries only. Did you follow what I'm saying now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now you got to know how to include icons. So let's say tomorrow, I think you can take this landed itself as an assignment. You can try to do this page itself to find these icons like lab, message, and this is a bar or some graph. You will find icons for all of them. Find icon, try to design a card like this, maybe a page like this with the typography. So I think today you guys had a chance to practice even this also, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and see this. These are also icons. These are called social icons, right? So website apart from text, you will find for sure in the, especially in the social media website, you will see a lot of icons. Clear? Okay. I've told this. So now slowly, so we are trying to learn like okay how to make an HTML into CSS and into actual website. We are trying to understand okay what all is involved in just making a page. Correct? Now one thing,
Yes, sir.
Uh, so the next topic we learn is CSS positions. What is it called? CSS positions. Okay. By the way, I think I have recorded all these videos on CSS position. Mani, you said you watched one time. Am I right? Uh,
Yes, yeah.
I also have a YouTube channel.
Those videos is available in your YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is,
correct. That's what for some of these people, I think they
but
don't know.
not in that order wise, I guess.
Okay, so you are missing an order here. Hmm.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. But all the properties is there related to CSS positions.
Okay. Okay, CSS position I have not posted in the proper order. Okay, okay, understood.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Right, right. You see, I'm also having different web fonts, how to use Google font. Remember, guys, there was one topic like Google fonts here. Yeah, font style and Google fonts. I explained. Yeah, so basically, I have uploaded some videos, I think, 1 year back on specifically CSS positions and flexbox. A few of the positioning I've explained. Yeah, you guys can actually watch. I think maybe, yeah, box model also, I think I've explained. Yeah, very well that time. Flexbox, I think for sure, I think this will benefit. But just to tell you, okay. I think I'm also thinking to. So now also I think I'll enable recording hereafter so that you guys can actually find more, more content. Yeah, I think I also had some JavaScript related things talking about roadmap. All right. Okay, let's come back to this. So I'm going to talk about interesting topic as in called CSS position. Okay, do we have Gagan who joined? Gagan is here. No, Gagan didn't come. Okay, no issues. So he was explaining about CSS position yesterday. That's why I'm looking for him. So we have a property called position. Uh, what exactly position? It is actually one of the property in CSS. Just just like how we have learned in CSS, we can add so many properties. Yes, of course, we write a selector, be it paragraph H1, H2. So we have one property called position. So for that position, so we have got different values. Yeah, uh, we have got five different values. Okay, let me tell you. The name is it's static. Okay, one value is static. Another value is money relative. Correct.
Relative,
Relative,
absolute,
absolute, fixed, and
fixed,
sticky.
sticky.
Okay. Now I think I'll not explain all of them because you will get confused and you will just wonder why it is. But let me first explain for the what is the purpose of when do I have to use position? Why do I say positioning and all that? Okay. So do you see it's a web page now. Do you see some content is flying on top of something? Okay. You also look at my screen. I'm presenting on the same tab. This is on top. Do you see? Correct. This content is floating on top of it. How do I create something like this? Any idea before I explain position? Have you learned any HTML tag is there for creating like this?
No, sir.
So there is no HTML tag which will help me like this. Can I put the content above, below, top? Yeah. So, so positioning is all about I would like to position this element on a particular place in the page, in the viewport. Yeah. By default, in HTML, I have included somewhere. Assume I have included an H1 here. Okay. H1. Okay. This is heading. Can I put the same heading in the top? But condition is without disturbing the HTML. See, if I want H1 to the top, obviously as a developer, as a beginner, what I'll do, I'll have to place it on the top. That's one of the way, correct? And this is called natural order. HTML by default displays your content in the order in which it is there in the document. Is it displaying in the end because it is heading? If I say footer, there is one tag in HTML called footer. Okay, people always ask in the interviews to confuse to see how confident a person is. Okay, so I write some footer. Do you think it will go down? They'll ask you, literally, they'll ask you this tag. They'll say, I'll write header in below. What happens? Okay, so no, HTML. So these are all semantic tags. They just give the meaning. So they don't behave like header and footer. It just they gives the meaning. So they are displayed wherever they are placed in the document or whichever order it is placed in the document. Now why I am talking about this? Now that natural order can be disturbed or we can actually deviate from that natural order by using this using what is called as position. Is it clear? I can disturb that or I can place it, I can change it totally. For example, now you have a cross mark here. You got some other icon here. For example, if this is a model, I get a cross mark which is displayed here. How? Yeah. So these are all some of the use case of why do we go for position. Not all the content is just placed one after the other. For example, you see this is this is appearing like a sticky. Don't you see that this is sticky? This is an example for sticky. You see that I'm scrolling, the content is going behind that menu bar, but that is coming above. How can I make that? Again, we is using one of the position value. Okay, so out of position value, 5 position values, the default one we say it is called static. Meaning, even if I don't apply position, by default, all the elements will have this static value. They are not positioned at all. They are wherever they are in the document. They just displayed in the same order. But using the rest of these, you know, 4 values, I can change it. In that, yeah. So we got okay. Let's start with relative. Uh, Easier one is I think fixed and relative. I mean fixed and okay. Fixed is a very easy one to understand. Static also you just now understood. Hope so. Yeah, we don't use this value explicitly. Always, if at all we want to change it, I want to turn it. It is an absolute. I want to override it later. Then I will write static. Otherwise, we don't explicitly write because by default it is static. Now, so let's say I make it relative. Let's understand 1 or 2 positions for now. Okay, I don't want to overload too much today itself. Position relative. Did it move? It doesn't move. So these are different values. Okay, in that relative is one of the positioning value. But then this element can be positioned after I'm making it relative using, there are 4 kind of, you can think of like a coordinate values, huh? Yeah, 4 properties: top, left, bottom, and then where's the other one? Right, object.
Right.
Okay, so using these 4 value, I can place it now. With the position relative, I'm telling okay, I am ready to move. But now where? I can say top, okay, 50 pixel, left, okay, 200 pixel or maybe 100 pixel. Do you see the header is moving now? Is it moving or not moving?
Moving, sir.
Moving. Yeah. How did I move? With the help of position. Along with this position property, these two are the other 2 properties in 4. They will help me place it on the viewport. So what you see this complete white screen on the right side, this is called viewport. Meaning I'm able to see this much, the viewable area on the page. Okay. So this might be bigger one in a desktop. It might be very small in a mobile. If I open an iPad, it might be a little bit bigger. So this is called viewport. Remember this. Okay. So on the viewport, I can place it now. Yeah, I can use any combination of this value. I can just say top also. It will work. See, without that, you see where it is. With with that value, it is moving. So now with all the position values, we can move the element. Remember one thing. With all the position values other than static, we can move the element using this top, left, right, and bottom. We can use this value to move with all the position property. But then how they are in, why do we have so many different values? How are they different? That is the thing you have to learn with respect to positioning. I'll repeat, all these four position values will help me move the element. For these thing to work, I have to use one of these top, left, right, bottom, or in combination of all this. Okay. So if they are moving, then how they are different? Why we have so many values? Because each of these have a different, you know, way of positioning it, different way of placing that element. Okay. So we'll start understanding one by one. So now the thing that we need to understand is how they are different from other. Okay. So I'll try to explain that actually. But in simple, all are going to help you move the content. Simple. So now as a position relative to understand bit more, if I place some value top or bottom or even the left, so we call it like origin. Okay, we call origin. Do you know what is origin? In an x-axis and y-axis, it is the place where things starts moving. Correct. So the other day I told you z index, right? So now let's say if it have an axis. Oh, sorry, this is not an axis. This is rectangle. So if I have an axis, then we say origin is which one? The intersection of these two coordinates. Here we call 0, 0. Correct? This is called origin. Now, yeah, we get to this. Okay. Now this origin will change. This origin point will change for each of these position. It is not the same origin for everything. That's one of the main difference for all these position. Okay. So let me maybe write the table here. Yeah, origin will change basically. For relative, there will be some origin. For fixed, there will be some origin. For sticky, there will be some other origin and also absolute. Yeah. So origin, now I'll tell you for relative. For the relative, the origin is wherever it was placed. Okay, wherever it is placed before it is start moving actually. So now let's say header element is placed here. From its initial position, this is its initial position. From this position, it starts moving. From this 0, 0. You see a rectangle which is blue here, a blue rectangle. So the blue rectangle, the origin is in the top left, which is nothing but like this kind of corner on that rectangle. Okay, the so if this is an element, so the top left is where it takes a point. From this point, this is a reference point. If I say top, then it comes down. If I say left, then the element actually moves to the left, right side. Same way, if I say right, then the element moves towards left side, and the same way bottom also. But the reference point is this origin. So for relative, that's the reference point where it was placed initially. Fine. This is one of the difference. The other difference is, or maybe it's a commonality for all. Once I make this position and if the element starts moving, right, Let me show you what happens. I'll give you top. I can even give a negative values. I can say minus 10 pixel. Do you see it is overlapping with the other element, or is it shifting the other element? Do you see any shift, or you see a overlap?
Yes, sir.
It's overlapping, correct?
Yes, sir.
So basically this overlapping is there because it has formed an other layer, which means we say it has come out of its natural order, or it come out of its flow only. I told you there is a default order in the HTML document which is coming one after the other. Yeah. So the natural order is, let's say if I put above the heading, if I put one more paragraph or something, obviously the H1 has to come down. You see the H1 coming down now? It is shifting to the next line. But now let me add another paragraph just above this header. Do you think it will start moving? Header will move there, or it will be there wherever it is. It is kind of moving because the reference point is its original order with my value what I'm giving. So it is just going to drift. But the thing is, yeah, it comes out of the natural flow. It doesn't disturb the other elements basically. Yeah, it is moved now. Okay, it has moved. Let's say if I give top 0, you will see this is its normal position. Because I give a negative, maybe I'll give it 20 pixel. So it comes out of the natural flow. This is relative actually. Nothing more than that. It starts moving from its original position. It comes out of the natural flow. One of the position value. Okay, I think there is another important observation to make here. Mani, do you know what is that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
What is it?
Basically, that original space is unoccupied.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Right. So now if I am let me have an element below this header. Let's say I'll keep button submit. Okay, I'll keep the position away by, so this is where it was there. Now you see submit, it is just there somewhere like next to, along with this line. If header moves, submit will not actually move. Do you see submit is moving anywhere? Maybe it
No, sir.
drifted a bit, I think. So now it is not moving. Earlier I saw it moved because there is a because of the margin. Okay, between margin there is a margin collapse between header and this thing. It didn't move. This is another observation. So this is what is that space, original space it had occupied, that will be vacant. Nothing else can come into this place. It will create a gap. Fine. So likewise, we understand this each of this position value, and you will all be able to understand. If you practice it, you will be able to remember what each of them, and you have to apply in a different use case. That's what is position relative. Right. Now let me talk about another position. Let's apply in this case. So we have an icon, correct? So let's say I'll take an icon called, I'll put a button. So no need of button. I think let me take close icon. What's icon name? Close. Let's see FA close is there. Okay, FAR. Okay, if at all icon is not there, think. Okay, let's say times. Okay, I'll say solid. Icon is not if not available, we get okay. So FA times is there. I can also increase the size of this font by providing how Can you put an inline style and an increase font size? I want it to be 2 rem. So you have not discussed what is rem. If you don't know, don't worry. So 2 is too much. I'll say 1.5. Now I would like to place this onto the top, but this time I'm going to use which class? I'm going to use position relative. Okay, what is icon? F8 times. How do I style it? So let's say position fixed. So do you see any difference? Okay, yeah, you will start noticing there are difference. For that, let me add another paragraph lorem with 20 words, and let me show you what happens. Okay, okay, you see there is a scroll. Okay, there is a scroll which I'm adding. Now I have made this position as fixed. The name itself almost says so much. So now let me say top 20 pixel, and I'll say left 5 pixel. So where was the cross mark? It was somewhere next to submit. After positioning where it has went here. Why? Because I told you relative has some origin which we discussed. Fixed has a different origin. Which is a origin? If you have a page, yeah, if you have a page, what is origin for fixed money?
Viewport 0, 0.
Yeah, which is exactly this
Yeah.
position.
That,
So the reference point is the complete viewport, not the element like relative, its actual position, but fixed from the viewport 0, 0. So now any value you give, this is the reference point. So this will be 0, 1, 2, 5, 6, 10, 20, 500, 600.
so basically, it moves from that viewport 0, 0
Yeah,
starting point.
this will be the starting point. That's why you see, when I give the value, it is gone here. Now you have to give always with the value with respect to this, assuming that it is here and you have to move. That's how you have to adjust the coordinate. But if you don't give this value, let's say I didn't give top, okay, it is almost taken wherever it was there in the document originally. Let's say even if I don't give top value, it is fixed to the it is fixed there actually. Yeah, I'll show you how it is fixed or not actually. So let me just put the coordinate values back, and now let me have a scroll. Do you see a scroll now? See now the content is moving. Do you see it is fixed there? Cross is not at all moving.
Yes, sir.
Agreed? This cross is not at all moving. Can you tell me where do we use this kind of where you have seen this pattern? Yeah. So this is especially used, yeah, for something like what we saw here on Google Meet. We saw it was fixed, correct? Okay. Stop sharing or hide. Those buttons were actually fixed to the viewport. They were not moving, right? Or even the sticky, this navigation bar is actually we call sticky. Huh? This is kind of fixed only. This is also kind of fixed. You see, the nav bar is fixed to the viewport. It is not moving. Yes or no? Sometimes the header we do a fixed actually. Oh, sorry, footer we fixed. Footer we fixed so that it doesn't move. So that is the purpose of fixed, and that's how it works actually. Basically, fixed to the viewport. It also comes out of natural flow. But unlike relative, you see that space is not left vacant. Anything else can come into that place.
Yes, sir. Original space is occupied.
Yeah,
Other elements
only
can
in
come in.
relative it is the case, but in rest of the case, element will leave that space. Other elements can come in that space what it is made. Understood? I told you three positionings now. Okay, one is position fixed, position relative, position static. Anyhow, there is not much to understand in that. Now the two more, I think there is one more called absolute, which is bit lengthier one. Yeah, maybe I think I can explain it tomorrow. And then sticky, kind of explained as I showed you header. So sticky is as simple as, or its definition is, it fluctuates between absolute and fixed. Okay, sometimes it acts as absolute, and sometimes it acts, sorry, no, wrong. Sometimes it acts as relative, and sometimes it acts as fixed. It changes between relative and fixed. That's what is sticky. As simple as that. Not absolute. Absolute is totally different. I'm saying it it, it is like it variates, you know, or it kind of moves between relative and fixed. If you give position sticky, and sometimes it behaves like fixed, sometimes it behaves like relative. That's the only difference. So with that, and I have covered both of them. Maybe I think I'll show you with the sticky as an example, but then simple. The only thing which is left out is position absolute. Okay, now I forgot to tell you. So position fixed is also used for a one other use case. Do you guys remember? Do you guys know what is the use case? For example, I click on library. Do you see now something is coming on top? These are called models, popovers. Are you able to understand? I clicked on something, but there's some window will come. Correct? Even this toolbar which is coming here, this is also used for that. Or you will have some model windows, especially pop-ups, which will come up saying that okay, do you want to do so and so. Model windows, okay, we also call it. For example, this kind of error screen, submitted, failed, payment successfully done, wait for redirection. Have you not seen these kind of pages? Right? These are called model windows. Again, these pages are also, I mean, these windows are also positioned using fixed. That's what I want to say. Okay, uh, let's move on. So with position fixed, we have kind of understood what is here, and okay, absolute is the only thing which is left out. Now we understood what is phantasm also, and I have to load icons. Okay, clear. Now, did we cover cursor money yesterday? I think
Yes, sir. Day before yesterday we
day
covered.
before yesterday. Cursor.
Yeah.
So cursor, you see, basically this. You see, I mouse over on this opacity word. There is a hand now. You see what happens now? Pointer. Okay. If I just do here, you see what happens now? Become a text cursor, correct? Now you see, before that there's an arrow also. So this is actually called cursor, mouse cursor, right? Yeah. So there is a property in CSS using which we can even control what cursor to display. What cursor to display. It has different values. For example, if at all I'm dragging, have you seen while dragging you get a different icon? Maybe not here. You might have seen in in other places, like okay, they use a different icon whenever we are trying to drag things. Here they are showing the different icon. So we have different cursor values. Accordingly, we can set it. You want to show it as default, which is this. Okay, auto. So let's say if it is text, then we see this value. Yeah, this is also text only. Pointer for anchor tag. Move. Yeah, you would have seen this kind of cursor. Crosshair, for example, selection. I would like to select something, cut something, paint. This is weight. So likewise, we have so many cursor values, and there is a property through using which you can specify it. For example, I'll show you quickly one of this. So this is a heading. Now you see, you don't see any different cursor. It's a normal text cursor. But on a heading, okay, which is what? H1, I think, our case, correct? H1. But I can write some class now. I can write some declaration. How? Using what is called as pseudo class. Hover, which means on H1 element, if you hover, then what I should do? I can put some cursor. I can write some cursor. Okay. Let's say wait. Wait was the value. You see? Now it starts loading on hover. Or I can even say, okay, pointer, which is like a link. Assume there is a link behind this. I would like to tell that okay, you can click on this. Or for a button, you see, it doesn't show like a click. So for a button, I can say on hover, I want to make it. So that's why this property cursor is there. So likewise, we need to understand a lot of properties, and that's how this plan is also kind of split what it is. And just now I introduced one of the pseudo class which is called hover. Hover. Yeah. So we have got one pseudo class called hover. Clear? Okay. Uh, I think Mani, we explained Z index for you guys, correct? Earlier.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But I think I can tell you one good example now. So now Z index, what I told you Z index the other day. So it is like a another axis, Z third axis. So there is a top axis left. For you guys also, did I tell you, Kushal? This Z axis is there? No, maybe no.
No, sir.
Okay. So so just like how we have axis, you can think of this as Y axis, the top axis, and you can think of this as a X axis. Okay. So you all know that there is a X plane, Y plane, also people will say Z plane, which is a 3D plane. Now using Z index, we can place the element. Okay. So let's say if one element is in 3D, like which is 3D is nothing but which is closer to your eyes. What if some other element wants to come before? For example, this wants to come before this element, or some other elements wants to come before that big circle. So using this along this z-axis, if at all we want to place, so that we can control using one property called as z-index. How we can control z-index. But when it will actually come into picture, let me show you one very good example here. So now there is a header that is got positioned. But do you see there is an overlap? Do you see an overlap or not with the other element?
Yes, sir.
Now user will say, I would like to see header. Yeah, yes, by default header will be there. Let me show you how it is header only visible. Okay, how header only visible. Let's say light green. You tell me now whether error is visible or header is visible. Header only is
Headers.
visible. But what if I want error to be visible? I don't want header. I want header to be there, but behind error text. In that case, what I should be doing, I should put this error z index value, which is the axis value which I was showing now. So now error wants to come first. Sorry. So error wants to come first, which means here it is 0. If I go on the z-axis value, then it will have a higher value. 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 50, 100, 500. Correct? So along the z-axis, whichever has got highest z-index value, that will come onto the top. Do you understand what I'm saying? Whichever has got a
Yes.
highest value, that will come onto the top. That is one of the simple way to explain z-index, or that is the purpose of z-index. So I would like to place this element. So now instead of head, error, I'll keep one paragraph here. Paragraph, and I'll say this is z index. Just to give you. See now the z index text is behind. Now for that paragraph which is z index, I can put some style. I'll say z index. So default, it has some value. I forgot what is the value. I think it is either 0 or auto.
Auto.
Auto?
Yeah.
Auto is the default value. Okay,
Yeah.
auto is
Yes,
it.
sir.
So now I can increase it. I just have to change it. I can give any arbitrary number. Yeah. So you see, is it coming on top? No, not coming.
No, sir.
Not coming. I give 100. It is not going to come. Okay. So let's say, yeah. Basically, it should work even for a simple z index value like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? It should work for a simple z index value. Any value other than some value, the element will float on top. So it should basically come on top. But now in this case, it is not. Okay. So ideally, that is how it should work. For this to work, there is a concept called as stacking context. Remember, Mani, I told you the other day, there is something called stacking context after explaining this. So this concept is there, which will tell you that it doesn't work like the way you said, like just by number. Yes, it works in certain cases, especially not in this case. Yeah. So for that, we need to understand one concept itself, which is called stacking context. What simply the stacking context says, okay, it first tells when that context is formed, when that stacking context is formed. In simple words, okay, not to overload you guys. So they say you don't say that it is only one simple z index which is forming. No, it is not like that. Yeah, think like, okay, this is z index which is forming. There will be several contexts gets created here. There is one z index context here. There is another z index context here. Yeah, there is another z index context. So these elements will be competing within this itself. Getting what I'm saying? Okay, so there will be so many contexts. Z index context gets created. I'll just make it a C1, C2, C3. And before even understanding this, we should also understand when this context also gets formed, how it formed. In simple word, what I have actually understood the way these things work. Okay, so this is like a telephone dictionary, or you can think of your index. You have a book, correct? In the book, you will have index. For example, there is a chapter 1, there is a chapter 2, and there is a chapter uh, think like, okay, one. There you got some sub levels, as in one dot, assume like you have got 20, one index called 20. Yeah, there's a section which has 20 and all that. And 2 has got a section which has got 2.0. And 3, okay, now, so now tell me 2.0 is higher or 1.20 is higher? Which is higher?
2.0, sir.
2.0 is higher. Let's say 1 dot, instead of 20, I'll make it, okay, 50. Now 2.0 only is higher.
2.0 only, sir.
Yeah, why? Because it is coming in a different chapter, correct? So the same way, even when there are different contexts are formed, even if I try to give a value which is higher, like I was trying to give 100, it was not even coming up because it's in. So this element, which is header, is totally in a different context. Understood? Okay. So I'll not even go through. I mean, I think for now I'll not go through. So all this list says what are all the situation in which the stacking context is formed. One of the cases, you see, positioning. See, element with position value, absolute, relative, and z index value other than auto, they all form. If at all it is there, then that element will form its own stacking context. If at all you are using position value fixed or sticky, okay, that time also stacking context gets formed. Here we have to use absolute, relative, and z index value other than auto. Okay, so using z index, okay, they say, okay, it's a different layer, default rendering layer. There's a negative z index, there's a positive z index. So you give positive, then it is close to the observer. You give negative, it goes behind. Yes, it is possible to make elements, you know, appear on top and also behind. For example, you see now there are so many divs. Okay, so the one div 1 has a highest z index, that's why it is coming on top. You see div 4 which has least z index, that's why if you observe closely, it is behind all the boxes. Now why they were able to display? Because there was no, they were all in the, like, there was no positioning, and then, yeah, so this is position absolute is what they say. Did they make it position absolute? Yeah, they have made some position absolute. Okay, I mean, this is an example to uh, see for you guys, like, okay, they made all position and in that they are adjusting it. They're making one below the other and all that. Yeah, so point is this, okay, so in simple words you remember this, but and when you get a complex example, you understand there is a theory. It is not so easy to just straight away say that this is how it works, but it is to place along the z and x, which is a uh, another axis. It's a 3D axis. Higher the value, it will be closer to our eyes, or which will basically come on top. Okay, so with that, there is one topic I see in the center. I think I'll not continue today, but in simple, link styling talks about if at all I have an hyperlink. Assume I have an hyperlink. How do I add an hyperlink? Using anchor tag. So there is different ways to style this. For example, what happens if I don't, if it's a default link, how is it displayed? Can I change the color? What happens if I do a mouse over? Will it change the color? What happens if I click on it? You see, it is red now and I'm active. When I release it, it is visited. It's in a purple. Now, can I change the color of each of those states? Can I change the color of initial link? Can I change the color when it is active? When I pressed, okay? And can I change the color of visited links? The one answer is yes, you can change the color of visited links. Like how we saw over, we can display a different color on over. Like that, we have got four pseudo classes are there. So using those pseudo classes, we will be able to give a different style. Basically colors and font size and all that. That is possible. So that is what is this topic, link styling. What is list styling? Do you know what is list?
Yes, we do
Can you
have
say?
two different types of list, order list
Yeah.
and unordered list. By using CSS, we can change that order.
Uh, More than order, we can change how they are displayed. Huh? Okay.
Yes, yeah, that is exactly.
For example, I want to have one, two, three. Let's say three. I want to have two, three. So they are displayed like this. But now what list styling talks? Okay, now you got bullets or disk. Remember, there is a property which is called. I think you got list. Let's see. That will be a very good. I think option. Do we have a list? Yeah. So list styling is basically understanding these properties. This is a combination of all these three, but this is a shorthand property. So using list style type, it has a value called circle disk. You see, you can have a disk, you can have a circle, you can have a square, you can also have Roman letters. Also, yeah, possible to have decimal values, and none basically will completely remove those bullet points. This is list style type. Defines the type of list items, the bullet point. To what do we apply this one for? This one we apply to our UL element, correct? For the UL element, which is a parent, not to the list item. Okay. So for the UL element, I apply list style type. So our emet, if you remember, I have been telling emet has a very good syntax expansion. LST, if I say, it will only add. I'll say none, then it will remove that disk. So likewise, so for example, I don't want all these items to be, yeah, basically understanding these three property, and then we have an, I think, a use case of how do we create something like a menu. But more importantly, we have to understand these two more property, list style position. Very rarely used. It says simply whether it is part of the list item or outside. Very simple property. Whether the disk should be considered within the LI or outside the LI. Another one last property is there, which is list style image. Meaning other than this disk, I can also put an image actually. As you see, we can put a play button here. That is called list style image. So this is how we, at least basically properties, the existing properties which are there, but how we use list is totally different. I think there is one use case, I think, which I'll talk about it. For example, if I have to do something like this is a menu, correct? Can you tell me what tag they have used for all this? Any idea?
Sir, unordered list along with enter tag.
Exactly. That's the same thing I wanted to talk. I'm just giving you an example. So this they have created using UL mostly, but answer is no. Okay, they have not used unordered list, but that's okay. In HTML, there are different ways to use and different tags to use for the same purpose. But yeah, something like this they create using especially menu and all they create using unordered list. In this website, they have not used. That's okay. For example, you got a list of icons. Here they would have used unordered list. with each icons in the list item. See, ul, li, li, and within the li you got anchor tag. Within the anchor tag you got I tag, I think icon tag. Then they have placed the icon. Okay, I think it is maybe too much for you guys, I think. Huh? So yeah, some of the things which I have not explained, I think I'll cover it, and I think that mostly we'll understand what is day 4, especially pseudo classes and pseudo elements. I'll explain with some more examples. Now, but all these things will only make sense and only register in your self, provided you find some good use case and apply all this. Getting what I'm saying? And that is where I'm telling you to practice things from here, which will cover. Yeah, even yourself also, if you know HTML and uh, writing template is very important. You will have to apply our CSS property, then only you will be able to get things actually. For example, I think this might be some position fixed. You see above the image you have pasted. See now, there's a hover which changes the color. Yeah. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Any questions for me? No?
So first we will try, sir, and then if any doubt is there, means we will.
Yeah. Come prepared. Study all these things. Apply. Then we can discuss in the next class.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yeah. And only thing is, if you practice, then only you will know all these properties very closely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See you then. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.